Hi everyone, it's Jamiezebra23 chat. So this video is going to be more of a serious video. So if you like the silly, goofy ones, this probably isn't going to be something that you're going to be interested in. So this video is going to be about the time when I found out that my first child had a disability. So maybe some of you don't know, but I have kids. My first one has a disability, the other ones don't. Okay, so my first child, who is now almost 18, so let me start off by the pregnancy. My pregnancy was fine. Towards the end of my pregnancy, I moved back from Houston. I moved from Houston, Texas to New York State because I wanted to give birth around my family. That was mistake number one. I'll probably regret this for the rest of my life. Yeah, so I'm gonna try not to cry. Okay, I don't want this video to be like a crying fest, okay? Because I've got things to do after this video, so I don't wanna, okay. So I'm from upstate New York. All of my siblings, there's 13 of us total. 2 of us have passed away. 2 of my siblings have passed away. So I've got 10 siblings left. So 10 siblings in my small town in upstate New York. I'm from a small town in upstate New York near the border of Canada. My mom, my grandma just passed in July, but my grandma was there. Everybody was there. My aunts, my uncles, all my cousins, everybody. Oh no, I can already feel it. Okay. There may be a part 2. Fuck. I hate crying. It's one thing I can't stand. Fuck. Okay. Sorry for swearing. I curse. Sorry. I curse a lot. I'm trying to change that. Okay, so I went to New York State. They've now since closed down the maternity ward in my small town because too many of these things were happening. So my due date was August 8th. From my doctor in Houston, all my checkups, it was August 8th. I went to New York. They said, well, we have to redo everything, even though we got all your records. They changed my due date to September 21st. It's my first child. I didn't think anything wrong. My mom was like pitching a fit, like what the hell? And I'm like, Mom, just stop. They're the doctors, stay out of it. I should have listened to my mom. You know, she did have 13 kids. Okay. So I noticed, you know, so August 8th came and went. So I got to New York State maybe in July. So this is like a little over a month later. I noticed my stomach's getting softer. It's not as hard. So I'm like, okay, I'm like going back to the doctor every day. My mom's driving me. My mom's tired. You know, she's getting, you know, I'm hormonal. I'm acting like an a-hole. You know how pregnant people are. So I'm like freaking out, throwing a fit. I want a turkey sandwich now. Like, you know. I was 19, almost 20. So I'm pretty young, pretty naive. So I was like, something's wrong here. I think the amniotic fluid is like leaking because my stomach feels soft. It feels weird. You know, the baby's moving. They're doing the stress test, you know, all that stuff. Heartbeat sounds strong, whatever. So they're like, just come back in a few days. Like if your water hasn't broken, nothing's happening. So I did. And then I'm like, listen, my due date came and went. The nurse goes, oh, the worst that'll happen is your baby will come out with teeth. Haha. Yes, that we've sued. So for those of you that are like, oh my God, did you sue? Yes, we sued the hospital. Yes. So my son will be well taken care of even after I'm gone. So he's good. He's good. So I was like, you know what? I don't trust them. So we went to well, I don't want to say hospitals, but a hospital that's about 2 hours away. We drove to because that was a bigger hospital, more well known. So we went there. I told them what happened. They're like, no way. We don't do. First, I was like, I need a C-section. This is an emergency. Let's get it going. And I just pulled up my shirt. I was young, guys. So I'm like, okay, come on. So they were like, no, we're gonna check you out. So they're like, we got to take that baby now. So I guess they compared the records from Houston to that small town. They were like, we got to take that baby now. What the hell? They didn't believe, they're like, we don't believe it. We don't believe it. My mom was like, believe it. My mom was like hysterical. My mom was like, yeah, the baby's going to be a stillborn or handicapped. And I'm like, Mom, that's a horrible thing to say. Don't say that. So they gave me a C-section. After the C-section, they took my oldest. away to the NICU. And I thought it was protocol. My mom's like, yep, they fucked you up, Jamie. He's handicapped now. I'm like, Mom, stop saying that. So, I'm getting like really angry. I just gave birth. I'm mad. Well, had a C-section. I'm pissed. All that stuff. So, no, my mom was going down to be with the baby, which I'm glad she was. But nobody was telling me anything. So I go walk down the hall, minutes, maybe 30 minutes after a C-section. So I'm like, anesthesia. I'm walking down the hall. Like there's like a thing that comes out of the wall, like a little kind of thick railing. So I'm like doing that, walking up. They're like, oh my God, the nurses they're like, you just had a C-section. What the hell are you doing? You got to get back in bed. They were like, just stay where you are. So one of them rolled the bed out, plopped me back on the bed. They're like, you cannot stand up. Please don't stand up. Please. So they rolled me down there, and the baby was down there with like this plastic thing over his head. Like to me, it looked like a Tupperware bowl. I guess there was the meconium aspiration going on. So later I found out what that was. We went home 2 days later. Nobody said anything. My mom was telling, so people would come over to visit. I was very, very protective. I guess it was instinctual. So I didn't want to even lay him down flat in the crib. My mom was like, you have to put him in flat in the crib. That's all babies. All babies sleep like that. I'm like, no, Mom. So I actually had I had a few car seats because some of you may have moms like this. My mom is a beggar. Even though we have everything, my mom is a beggar. My mom is, I don't know why. I don't know if it's because she's afraid of because growing up, we did have a lot of financial ups and downs. Like when we were little kids, a woman with all those kids, I guess just stockpile it so that you'll have enough. I think she still carries that mentality with her, but she definitely did almost 20 years ago when I had my oldest. So she was going we have a little local convenience store, a little tiny, little local grocery store called the Great American. Now they don't have that anymore. But yeah, so she's like, yeah, my daughter's having a baby and she has nothing. And I'm like, Mom, we have a lot. They go, oh, she can have a bassinet. It was only used once, or she can have this. So guys, literally on our porch, everybody from the town was leaving baby stuff, which I'm grateful for, but I was embarrassed, These are all people I grew up with. It's embarrassing. So I took a bassinet. Of course, at this time, I did not know my son had a disability. I had no idea. Maybe my mom knew, but I didn't. Maybe other people knew, but I didn't. To me, he was the most precious, perfect baby that anybody could have asked for. And I still feel that way. So, sorry. So I propped him up. So I would put the car seat inside the bassinet right next to the bed. And I had him propped up. Something just told me prop him up. And what I didn't know was that accompanied with cerebral palsy, there's, swallowing issues accompany it. So he could have easily just choked and passed away on his own saliva had I not done that. Later on, I found out. So for you mothers out there, whether you have kids with disabilities or not, if your gut instinct tells you to do something, you better do it. If your gut instinct tells you your kid cannot go to that party, don't let them go. Whatever your gut instinct says, even if people think you're crazy and they don't understand it, you trust your gut instincts. Thank God I did. So I kept him like that, even though I had a C-section, I guess I can handle pain more than most people. I never let anybody help me with him. Nobody changed a diaper but me. I fed him, I changed him, walked down the stairs, did the bottles, everything. And I was very, very protective, and people just thought I was postpartuming. I wouldn't let anybody go near him or touch him. I was like, you can look at him from over there. See? Here he goes. How about I take a picture and we'll get it developed in Walmart and then I'll hand it to you and you can see him that. I was like, everybody get away from my baby. I was just like, I'm still like that with my kids, hardcore. Don't fuck with my kids. Don't go near them. Line drawn. Don't fuck with Big Mama. Don't. People know. Even the little cousins, they're like, be careful with Aunt Jamie. You know how she is about the kids, the babies. They're like, ooh, don't make Aunt Jamie mad. But yeah. So I moved back to Houston where I was living because I moved back just so I could have the baby with my family. So before I moved back though, my mom's like, something's wrong with him. Something's wrong with him. But telling my other siblings, and they'd be like, Jamie, mom keeps talking shit, you know, whatever. You know, mom's so crazy. I can't believe she's saying that, you know. So now let's skip ahead a little bit. Let's skip ahead to about 1.5 years old. At the time, I'm not thinking anything of it, but no, he cannot sit up on his own. His eyes don't follow me. So it's kind of like I'll go like this, you know, and normal person's eyes go like that. I would go like this, his eyes would stay, and then after like a few minutes, he would go like he was following it. So I didn't think anything of it. Also, he never cried, he never gave me trouble, was never fussy, just drank his milk, his formula, ate his food, always laughing, never gave me a day of trouble, ever. So one day, okay, so by this time I'm in nursing school at a place called the Texas Health Schools. So I'm studying to be a nurse. So I'm going through the CNA program first, and then I'm gonna climb and become a registered nurse, LPN, all that good stuff. So that was the goal. You know, I was happily married, you know, everything was going great, had this new little baby, perfect, you know. So one day after going to school, I was eating at McDonald's with my baby. Some woman came up from behind the counter. This was a McDonald's on Bissonnette and Gessner. I'll never forget. So I saw this person I'm about to talk about. I saw her again about 2.5 years later, and I thanked her because I still wouldn't have known, and I wouldn't have been able to get him help. So this woman comes out from behind the counter. I guess she worked at the McDonald's. He's got his Happy Meal and we're playing and I'm laughing with him. She goes, oh, your baby's got cerebral palsy. Oh, he's so beautiful. He's so precious. My niece has cerebral palsy. Yeah, and she's just flourishing, so don't ever give up. And I'm like, what? I'd never heard of cerebral palsy, never heard of the term before, nothing. I'm like, what are you talking about? So I threw the tray of food, took my son and left and went to his pediatrician's office. And I said, this lady said this about him. He goes, well, maybe the doctor, he goes, well, maybe he does. I'm like, okay, well, give him a shot, give him a pill, fix it. He goes, it doesn't work like that. He goes, I don't even know if he's got cerebral palsy. He could have anything. He could have Down syndrome. He could have autism. He could have anything. It doesn't work like that. I have to order an MRI for you. Sorry, guys. So I call his dad, and his dad's pissed off at me, like, there's nothing wrong with him. What are you doing? Like, don't even say things like that. I'm like, it's not me. You know, he's gotta have an MRI. So we had the MRI, and it took about many, many months to get the results. So once they got the results, they were like, we can't tell you the results. Give me 1 second. So they were like, we can't tell you the results. A neurologist has to. So it took about 6 months to get in to see the neurologist. So I'm still in nursing school. I'm still doing business as usual. Yeah, so. And I'm researching everything that you can think of. Cerebral palsy, I'm researching all sorts of things. So we go to the neurologist. Juan's dad's there. My oldest, his father's there with me, and the neurologist tells me this, and so she says, yes, he's got cerebral palsy, and starts describing the kind that he has, and we see a neurologist. The first neurologist, my son's father said he wants a second opinion, he hates her, whatever. She was very matter of fact. I mean, what else can they do, right? They got to give it to you straight. So she's like, he'll probably never walk, never talk, never feed himself, probably going to end up in a wheelchair. And then around 15 or 16, you can decide what facility you're going to put him in. So Juan's dad, you know, he was very verbal, very angry, very pissed. And I'm just there, just like in shock. Like, how, like, what? like, I never drank. I never smoked cigarettes. I didn't do a single fucking drug a day in my life. Why us? Like, why me? What did I do so wrong? I don't want any of you to have a negative opinion of my mom, but my mom drank and drugged with each and every one of us all day, every day through her pregnancies, and not one of us has a disability. So I'm like, I didn't even do anything wrong. I did everything I was supposed to do. I ate healthy. I didn't drink. I didn't drug. I didn't do anything wrong. Why me? Like, what did I do wrong? So then, we go to the next neurologist at Texas Children's, and he suggested that we get a lawyer because it's a birth injury. It wasn't trauma. It was loss of oxygen to the brain from me being overdue and nobody doing anything about it. So we got a lawyer. I was so mad. I was so mad. So the neurologist told me the same thing. He'll probably never walk, never do anything. I was like, fuck that, fuck you. I don't care. He's gonna be fine. And because I did that, he's able to walk, he's able to say a few words, he's able to feed himself, dress himself, do everything, but he's just not verbal. I didn't drive after that. Since they told me he's not gonna walk, I was like, fuck this, he's gonna walk. So I started taking the bus to all of his speech therapy, physical therapy, occupational therapy. We were at Texas Children's Hospital 5 days a week. I had to quit nursing school. I was broke. Had to scrape pennies to get bus fare to get downtown Houston. Had to wait because we had to do so many therapies. So there would be 3 or 4 therapies in one day. So they had a McDonald's in there. I could scrape together like $1 and then bring like drinks from home in a backpack so I could get him a cheeseburger while he's there. I had no money, couldn't work, couldn't do anything. I had to focus on him and getting him well. People thought I was crazy. Why are you making him take the bus? Why don't you just get him a wheelchair? So he also had an orthopedic doctor. She said he'll never walk, he'll never do anything. So after about 6 months, he started walking really, really well. Walking very, very well. Climbing up onto the bus without me having to lift him. So he started walking at 5 years old because I made him walk. I always treated him like a regular child. I always talked to him. I wasn't like, he's nonverbal, so don't speak to him. Always tried. Bought him rollerblades, roller skates, took him here, took him there, took him to museums, taught him. Did everything I possibly could, and I still do. So don't give up. Even if this is you guys finding this stuff out, don't give up. If somebody tells you your kid will never do anything, you know what your kid is capable of. God has the final say. Those doctors don't. And every time I prove them wrong, they'd be like, oh, wow, we were wrong. It's a miracle. Every time I took him into those doctor's offices, he was doing something new, flourishing. Even still today, they look under his shirt to see if he's got a feeding tube because they cannot believe their effing eyes. People just say, oh, he's autistic because they cannot believe he's got cerebral palsy. So the reason why I'm posting this video is because I've had a lot of people on my other channel say, well, I can't do anything because my child's this, or, you know, it's a life sentence. No, it's not. Don't believe what anybody says. You know what's best for you. You know what's best for your family. And especially if you're a mother, you know what's best for your child. Nobody knows what's best for your child. I've even had people tell me, Jamie, you could probably find, you know, a really rich man if you would just, you know, ditch your special needs child. Over the years, they've told me so many things. I would rather have him than anyone. If somebody offered me $1 billion and good health forever and to live forever, I would never trade him for a fucking thing. So anybody who tries to tell you, oh yeah, your kid's hindering you, fuck them. I've divorced because people were so jealous of the treatment that I give my oldest. I was like, oh, you were him? Easy. Fucking divorce. Many times. I've been married and divorced a few times, guys. And also people tell you that you can't date or find anybody if you've got a special needs child. That's a fucking lie. Hence, queen of married and divorced over here. So not that I'm proud of that, but I just want you guys, maybe some of you don't know, maybe some of you are giving up, maybe some of you are broken like I was back then with people telling me things that I knew were not true. So don't let these people fuck with your sensibilities. Team Mama Bear over here. So just same to you. Trust and believe in your child. Who cares what anybody thinks? Who cares what anybody says? You know, I had the luxury of having my first child special needs. So I know for a lot of you that have kids who were not special needs, and then you end up having a special needs child, you know what the milestones are. You know what to expect. So it's devastating for you to see that that child isn't doing what the other ones did. I cannot put myself in your shoes because I don't understand. Because I remember sitting there in therapy, waiting for the next therapies with the other parents, and them just being utterly devastated. I'm like, oh, did you just find out? They're like, no, my child's 10. I've known he's got a disability for 10 years. And I'm like, oh, you're still crying? They're like, yeah, well, our other son, he just got a scholarship for baseball, and our other child, you know, she's a swim champion, and this one and that one is doing this, and, you know, overachievers. And so I guess for them, it was a big blow. So I had nothing to compare my first one to. So for me, everybody else was weird, and my almost 18-year-old is normal. So then I had another child who's normal, hit the milestones, all that stuff, and I look at him like he's weird, and my firstborn is normal. So it's all about perspective. Another thing that I had in common with all those parents is, guess what? We never drank, we never did drugs. We never smoked. One day I actually asked the neurologist, because I was like, what the hell? He told me, well, it's bad business for us as medical professionals to tell people that your baby will come out smarter if you do cocaine. He goes, this is what the neurologist told me. Believe it or not. He goes, yes, we have noticed in the medical field. We have noticed those. We have noticed that. He goes, in fact, we've noticed that the most harm that anybody can do to their baby is drinking alcohol. Crack, heroin, cocaine, the babies come out normal. They might be withdrawing when they're born, but that's usually the gist of it. FAS, he said, fetal alcohol syndrome, is the most dangerous thing a person can do when they're drinking. He goes, but as far as drugs go, like hard narcotics, but nobody do narcotics when you're pregnant. Please don't do this. Don't do it. This was just a one-on-one between me and the neurologist, okay? He said that when somebody's doing hard drugs, because I told him about my mom. She was fucking doing heroin, cocaine. They called her little wino buddies, called my little brother Cody. What are you gonna name him? 80 proof? It's not funny, but I mean, just for real. I guess the laws were different back then. But yeah. So he told me that, yes, we have noticed that, but it's bad business. He goes, but in fact, he goes, actually, if the hard drugs do affect the babies when the mother's pregnant, they'll just miscarry. They'll just end up having a miscarriage. They said, but if the baby comes full term, 99% of the time the kid's perfectly healthy, sometimes not even in withdrawal. So, yeah. So for those of you out there that are like me, you never drank, you never did drugs, you don't smoke cigarettes, you didn't do any of that, and you're like, what the fuck? What happened? It just is. Maybe we were, because my mom couldn't have been a mother. Like if she would have had any of us, like my oldest, fuck that. Oh, that kid would have been taken away. Probably put in foster home after foster home, being abused. God knows what. So I'm grateful that I had him and nobody else did. So please look at it the same way. Look at it like God chose you for a reason. God felt like you could handle that you would be the best thing for that child, and that's why you were blessed with that child. That's all you can chalk it up to. I wouldn't change him for the world. Yes, sometimes it's hard. Sometimes I'm at the end of my fucking rope. Sometimes it's stressful. You know, sometimes I'd like a day off, but that's not how this goes. I mean, of course, some of you, if you choose to have a day off, some people put their kids in facilities so that they can be free. I'm not judging anybody. Whatever your choice is, whatever your path is, you do it. But this is my story. I'm sharing it with you, and I hope I can help somebody. All right, Jamiezebra23 chat. Ta-ta for now.